let's turn it over, guys. The greatness of Mr. Adam Conroy. Adam, thank you so much for your time today, buddy.
Yeah, I'm excited to share, guys. This is obviously a huge layer that you guys all have the opportunity to help grow your business without working harder necessarily. Talking to Mike Dawood, and I was just telling him how much CPO he could literally add this year just doing some service events that he's not doing currently. So my talk today was more geared on driving attendance and prepping the event so that you just show up and you're ready to rock and roll. I can shift my message a little bit with selling as well if you'd like, Brian. I just want to make sure that I deliver what you guys want.
Hey man, let's go with what you've got prepped, and if we have a few minutes on the back end for some Q&A, then great. We'll touch a little bit on the sales side then, but I'd be more excited to hear how you're actually stacking these events up.
Cool. So basically, I'm sure some of you guys may have seen the audio with Josh and I. We did an interview series. Just by a show of hands, who's heard that? Okay, cool. So some of this will be redundant, and some of it will be a couple things I learned this past week. Here's the one question that I will share with you guys that's been really game-changing for me and my business in the last 3 years is, what am I doing right? What went right today? And what am I going to do differently next time? I continually ask myself that every single time I talk with a customer at the booth, every time I do an event, every time I do a service call, is what went right and what am I going to do differently next time? And if you guys adopt that philosophy, you're going to see that service events are a very good way for you to sell a lot of Cutco and strengthen the Cutco brand and also your business loyalty as well. As far as getting people there, the first and foremost is you wanna have a venue that excites people to go to. I think about our first couple events. We did Holiday Inns, Comfort Inns, trying to save some money. I've heard some people do some Cutco offices, nothing against that, but we sell a very expensive product. If a customer wants to, they can spend $10,000, $20,000 with us if they really wanted to. And so you think about what we're trying to achieve here. There are two missions. One is to serve our current customers at the highest level possible. But really what I think service events is becoming is, how can we capture new customers? So think about what we're doing right now. We're creating a platform for service to current customers, but what are we doing to attract new customers that either have Cutco but don't have an active rep, or don't know about Cutco but should know about Cutco? And that's what I think about, and that's what I get excited about, is how much of my business at the service event is new people that I don't work with. I did 13,000 3 days last week at the service event in Chicago, booked the flight, had it all set up before I showed up, and half those people were people I don't work with currently. That's really my goal with you guys, is to capture how many of those people that we can reach out to that don't have an active rep, but also people that have been thinking about Cutco but just don't haven't pulled the trigger, or they just don't know about Cutco until they see these events. So first component is the location of the event. Obviously, you want to do Hiltons and Marriott, spend a little bit more money, because I'd rather sell to someone that's staying overnight at a Hilton, Marriott versus the Hampton Inn client. Nothing against those hotels, but the type of clientele at these events are going to be the walk-ins that buy ultimates, that buy signatures, that buy kitchen packages as well. So think about where it is that you guys are actually set up at. Signage is huge. You guys should have an easel board that says Cutco Service and Sales Event, walk-ins welcome, smiley face, put the date and time of the event. You should have multiple easel boards throughout the lobby of the hotel, outside the hotel, in front of the room. You want everyone that's staying at that hotel to know exactly what's going on that day. In Arizona and Chicago, we have a program in place for how we deal with walk-ins as far as commission split, CPO, all that. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I do recommend, if you don't have a walk-in program in place, that you guys think about that and you define that. The other thing is, using Cutco paraphernalia, Cutco flag, Cutco stand-up pop-up posters in the lobby as well as outside. Like have a win flag in the lot or in the green garden area of the hotel or by the parking lot, whatever you want to do. You want people to know that we're there. As far as appointment slots, here's what I have found. There's a mixed reviews on how long the appointments should go. That's a personal preference for your business. I will share with you that I've noticed that the more time I have with someone, the more I'm going to sell. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. And I feel like when I did 20, 30-minute time slots, I became across as transactional with some of my clients, you know, because I see a money client behind them and I'm already like, okay, well, either they're going to buy or not, and then I'm going to move on to the next client. Well, what I realized is when I had that extra 15 minutes, now I do 45 minutes, I'm actually selling more to each client and I'm creating a better experience working with me. And there's going to be a lot more loyalty that comes with providing that extra service, letting them have that space, being more conversational, not being transactional. And so I would encourage you guys to see less people per day and target at 10 to 15 people max per day. I mean, I was the guy that had 24 people at one day and it was crazy. I'd have like 3 people waiting to see me and it was just very unprofessional. So I don't recommend that. As far as things that make the event go really well, this is all stuff on the front end. And that's why I wanted to start the message with what we do before the event is what makes the event. Preparation is everything. And so in Arizona, Luke came up with the cafeteria tray idea where customers literally just set up their knives right on a cafeteria tray, like grade school style. And literally each customer gets a cafeteria tray. And what I've shifted this past week with the 45-minute time slot instead of 30 minutes is now I sit down one-on-one with my client. Literally, I used a hotel table. I don't even bring any table. It saves me 30 minutes every day for setup. I don't use anything that I have to bring in terms of non-Cutco products. I don't use any of the tables, any tablecloth. Literally just used a hotel table, and I had 2 chairs in front of where they stand normally. And then I do a trade show setup on an L shape. Each rep has an L shaped setup. And so it's kind of like you're at a dealership. You're consulting with your client on what they have and what's next. And so I literally do a knife inspection the first 5-10 minutes of the interaction. I build a rapport. I literally have the inventory wish list sheet. They're literally checking off what they have. Hey, you got the paring knife. Hey, you got the French chef. That's over here. Literally, Curtis has this inventory sheet. And I'm like, hey, you're only missing 3 knives from the complete set. You're almost there. Hey, you're only 5 away from our family upgrade program. And what's interesting is customers get excited because they realize, A, they don't have much Cutco if they think they do, or they do have a lot of Cutco and they're really close to finishing a program in Cutco. And so psychologically, this inventory thing really allows customers to take ownership in what they have. And so selling at the event becomes a lot easier because you're like, hey, I'm required by Cutco to update your account because we know that you're going to inherit Cutco and we know that Cutco's multi-generational, right? And they're like, yeah, well, we want your kids to be able to have this updated file. And literally, I'm planting the seed on like how literally Cutco, the only product that they can purchase that's literally going to be passed on to their kids. And it's just a very tailor-made process into our 4 programs. And so I learned this from Curtis, and I'm sharing you guys right now, and Curtis probably doesn't want me to, but like using words like, you guys are the first customers to ever hear about the new concept Cutco's doing. Instead of getting a discount, where you just get discount because you have Cutco, now what we're doing is when you buy Cutco, we want to put it under one of the 4 programs. That way you can earn multiple discounts. And what's great about these programs is they're designed to keep you really in and out of the kitchen as easy as possible, but allow you to have the best-in-class experience when it comes to flatware, cookware, and knives as well. And so shifting that mindset that here's some new concept that Cutco's doing, this is the future of Cutco. I wanted you to know about this. That's why we rented this private event for you. And so right now you're 3/4 of the way to our complete set of knives. Let me show you about our set upgrade program. Let me tell you about our Cutco kitchen concept. Literally, I pull off the kitchen brochure. That's program number 2. Program number 3 is the family program. And then program number 4 is the business gift program. Literally, one brochure on top of each other in front of the customer and I sitting down is super awesome. They're super relaxed. They're curious about what's next. And using the Set for Life brochure at the upgrade program is super money. It's huge. I couldn't realize, I didn't realize how much harder I was making it selling Cutco when most people are visual. They either want to read it to believe it, see it to believe it, or touch it to believe it. I don't even need to show them the knives physically. They can see the brochure and what they're missing. So all of that is the mindset of service. It's like, hey, listen, I noticed you have some nicks in the blade. Someone's probably using this on meat, and call them out. Literally, it creates a reaction. They're like, well, isn't that a knife? And then all of a sudden, now you sold 3-4 knives because they don't have the right meat knives. If they're like, well, I don't eat meat, it's like, someone's probably using this on a glass cutting board or on watermelon. They're like, isn't that what that's supposed to be for? No. Let me help you out. And then now all of a sudden they create a need for what they don't have. And so that's how you transition into the set upgrade. As far as driving people to the event, here's what I've noticed. Some people in our business are really adamant about getting their calendar full, which is awesome. And then some people are the same people that just get 3 to 5 people there, and they wonder if this program works. What type of rep are you going to be? When I think about service events, I think about getting 10 to 15 people there every single time that I do an event. So what am I thinking about? Well, one of the things that I realized is Facebook is a program that most people don't utilize, and that's why most people don't have a full schedule. So we all know that we need to email and mass text our clients to get them to the event. What I'm here to share with you is that that's not the only layer of marketing that you want to have. If you want to have half the people with the half slots full, then just do those 2 things. Do the bare minimum and just have half the people there. I have yet to do a service event where I've had less than 10 people in a day. And it's awesome. It's always about what you're doing in advance to create that. So all the marketing should start 10 days before an event. You should have an email. You should have a text the next day after that, 9 days in advance. And then I don't even do a reminder email. I just do another text that promotes referrals versus promote, there's few spots remaining. And then here's what I've noticed. If you treat the service events like a sale catalog follow-up program where you have time in your schedule an hour or 2 before the event to respond to people and drive more people, that 2 hours you spent driving people is actually the most profitable thing you could have done that week to generate CPO. So what I mean by that is when you have a group text go out, you should have an hour to 2 hours scheduled in your day for you to respond to your clients that responded to text marketing. And you should literally be like, hey, I'm so glad your knives are sharp and they're working great. Hey, can I ask you a quick favor? Start that dialogue, and then they'll respond either right away or later. When they respond later, it's like, hey, my bribe to you, if you get a friend or a family member at the event, you get a free piece of Cutco. Please share this text with whoever you know. And I'm constantly promoting referrals. And I always give people promo products as a referral gift. So they get something on the spot, and they're super fired up about that. In the Acuity scheduling reminder email, are you planting the seed for referrals? Hey, you get a free piece of Cutco whether they buy or not if someone shows up because of you. On the questions that they fill out when they schedule an appointment on Acuity is one of the questions, who do you know that you can refer for free Cutco? Is the text reminder that you use on Acuity, is it promoting that you get a free piece of Cutco if you bring a friend? So literally, people see this 5-6 different times, and it's the same thing with Facebook. You want to target 5 to 10 people that you know that will promote the event really well, and you literally message them the event that you created on your business page. You create an event on your business page, and then you literally share that on your personal page, and then you start messaging that event to your clients. And if they're not friends with you on Facebook, all you do is you spend an hour, every other week just adding people that would be good people to have at the event. So think about who are the 10%, 20% that's going to produce 80% of their business in each area that you do service. So think about your top client. Those are the people you want to add first on Facebook. Get them excited about Free Cutco and have them share the event on your page, and then tag their friends and family on the event. And what happens is you start creating a vortex of people that know about the event. If you think about the 6 different layers of marketing that I talk about on the audio, the first 2 everyone's doing, the email and text, but most people aren't doing Facebook. Most people aren't utilizing the number one platform of communication in today's world, which is social media. And think about having a drawing on your Facebook page, doing live videos on service events while you're at the service event. I know I've seen her do that. Josh do that. Well, that's going to create a buzz this fall when you guys do the service event in that area again. So that is definitely something I recommend. As far as outbound calls, if you're not getting the results that you want, maybe you didn't get a high response in your text and emails, maybe you're not getting a high response in your Facebook, that's when you get the work and you fill in the gaps of what you're missing on the phone. Either you delegate that with an assistant or you do it yourself. The people that I always call first, if I am going to make calls, is I'm going to target the top 500 CPO clients first, and then I'm going to target the clicks on the email second. And then the gold mine is if you got your show list, so if you literally target the people that bought Cutco at a show, but you haven't seen them yet, those are gold mines. So you can have Oli and DP send you a Cutco customer list of all the customers that have bought at a show, and then you organize it by city. Those people are gold mine. Those people didn't get a chance to buy everything because shows are very fast paced. And so those are the people that you want to target first to get to those events. I learned that from Jason, and it's money. The reason he sells a lot in a push is he's seeing his best people that don't even know about half the thing Cutco makes. Well, it's the same thing at a service event. They go there thinking they're going to get their knives sharpened. All of a sudden, they're exposed to the full display of Cutco, and then they're in an environment where people are buying left and right. Well, it makes sense why they buy a lot more. It's the same type of mentality. One of the things I'll give you guys tip-wise is for those of you guys at a booth, you're going to see a lot of people that need service. So instead of saying, hey, you can mail them to the factory and being that rep, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let you know about our next service event that we're doing for customers like you that don't want to send their knives in, want service. Did you want that real quick? Okay, cool. Go ahead and jot down your information, and then you literally either schedule them on the spot using your Acuity website link right there, literally give them your phone, and then you literally have them fill out the questionnaire, and now they're scheduled 2 months in advance. It's really cool when you have 3 to 5 people in an event scheduled month in advance. It's amazing. If you think about your business as a proactive vehicle for service, you'll see that a lot more of your events are booked solid because now you have 3 to 5 people already booked, and now you're just filling in the gaps with the other customers that you have. So at shows, I have a Google document spreadsheet or a Google document drive of all my service events with the link, the Google, like the URL shortener link, and literally whatever area they're in, if I have a service event, they're going to get scheduled right there. If I don't have time and it's busy, I let them know that I'm the national service rep in the area and that we rent out hotels for them. And then I say, hey, just fill out this top part, and it's the new service request form. And I say, hey, we're going to let you know about the next event. Just put your information here, and you'll get a text or email regarding the event when it comes up. So whether you know about the event or not, you're always planting seeds for service event. And that's how you're going to acquire people you don't work with. A lot of people will buy a lot more Cutco from you if you actually take the time to service them. A lot of people have broken knives and knives that they don't want to send in. Instead of being the rep that says, hey, you can just send them in, do your customer the genuine service of what they paid for, and get those people that are factory service people to your events. I guarantee you guys with your skill set will sell a lot of Cutco to those people. They just haven't had the experience that they paid for. So think about how often we let those people walk away, say, here's a sheet of paper to send your knives in. That's horrible service. And I encourage you guys to think about it differently moving forward. This fall, I think about the letters that will go in the catalogs that my customers will be receiving. Those should have service events that you're doing in November and December. You should be thinking about this holiday season, what service events you're going to be doing. And direct mail is going to be another layer of marketing that your customers have access to that'll drive attendance to those service events. I love not doing a mall in December. And malls are great, by the way. It's just not something that I do personally. I don't like the hours at the mall, but service events is how I can sell a lot in December and not have to work a mall. It's the same idea. When you have a busy show, you should be thinking about, well, what am I going to do to capture the service aspect of the show? And what am I going to do to get people to the service event? Because you're going to have a lot of people that don't buy from you at the booth, but then they'll buy at the service event. Maybe their spouse is there. Maybe they're not distracted by the home show guy or the roofing company. When they're in a Cutco environment, it's just very controlled and very chilled. They're going to see the value of the new program, as long as you get people there. So that's kind of the thought that I have initially. Do you guys have any Q&A that you would like to discuss?
Yes, we definitely do. I definitely do, to kick it off. But first off, man, that was fire. Just your confidence in the program and your vision you have for how you can execute this going forward. I just want to say is inspiring to me. A couple quick questions that I had, and then I bet the group might have one or two as well. I know that you have yours set pretty far in advance. I know Luke, issued the challenge of having yours for the whole year laid out at a few different occasions. I'm just curious, like how many are you trying to plan in your different, let's say, service areas per year, and sort of how far in advance are you actually lining these up in your calendar?
Yeah, so I basically work in two territories, Chicago and Arizona. And so I think about, for my business, I think about what are my key events that I need to service around. The other thing I think about is what are my top 10, 15 zip codes that I need to service. So I made a list of my top 10, 15 zip codes that I need to service. And I spent an hour on Vast Action doing query and, figuring out how many people I have in each area. You always think you have more or less than you really do. And then based on that list, then I started planning where I'm going to do service events. And then I think about how often will I be doing service events. So based on how often I actually do go to that area, it's going to dictate how many times I'm in that area for a service event. So I average 3 service events a month currently. And I do see us having like a service event week in the fall to change things up and allow a lot more customers to get service in a holiday time frame. So to answer your question, it has to do with your business. I really think everyone's business is different. So when I know I'm going to have a slow month in sales, slower than a normal month, that's when I'm going to spike it up with service event. If I'm going for a big push, then I might spike it up with service event. If I know I'm going to be traveling a lot, then I want to make sure that before and after my travel plans, like I'm going to Europe for a month for honeymoon, and so I'm not working in June and July, basically. So there's a lot of service events before and after that. So what I think about in terms of planning is how many customers do I feel like need service in an area? And if it's a lot of customers, I'll do 2-day events. If it's less than 300-400 in an area, then I'll do a 1-day event a couple times a year. And so Does that answer your question, Brian, or did you have a follow-up?
No, that answers my question on that for sure. But you are trying to kind of block them off pretty much through the end of the year, just based on your availability, your travel schedule, and kind of the natural ebbs and flows in your business. Is that kind of the horizon you're working with? Okay, perfect.
And what I will say, just as a quick side note, is what's nice is that there will be a consistency that starts to happen when we start working with the same hotels. So booking is going to be really simple as we keep rebooking these events. So we're going to be able to strategically drive more and more people, because when we're at a show, we can be like, hey, if you can't make this event, we do have one in the fall during this time frame. And then now we can have intelligent conversations with our customers that do want to go to the service event, but they can't make that next one that next week or something like that. So I see the consistency really helping us drive traffic as well as we keep doing this year after year.
Nice. I love that. Well, another question that I had real quick, you talked about, it sounds like you're not using like your Cutco tablecloths. It sounds like you're not using the counter height tables, and that's a cool idea. I could see that totally working. But I was just curious as far as like signage or things that you're putting up in the hotel itself. Like I know Vast Action has their pack of lit. I've seen Luke just on a whiteboard put like, hey, what's next? And or a different way to break down the packages. What does kind of the room and space look like, just as far as setup goes? If you can maybe give us a few thoughts on that.
Yeah. You're really not going to get anything different than what you already know about, Brian, to be honest. My mindset is, how can I take their service experience at a higher level? So my engagement strategy is way different than it used to be. These people are already sold on Cutco, so I don't think the Cutco paraphernalia is as important, maybe for a walk-in maybe, but what I do think is important is the layout of the room in terms of product display. Some people like to have different stations and do like a little tour, and other people like myself like to do a sit-down approach where everything's in literally arm's reach, sitting down. So like from left to right, I have the right side of the kitchen. On the left side is like the family program, the small sets. And then like I do an L, so an 8-foot between the customer and I, and then a 6-foot on the side. And that's going to be the miscellaneous program, the gift program, wellness mats, outdoor stuff. My focus is the kitchen concept. And so that's in the front table, the 8-foot. And so the hotel tables are wider, so it gives you a lot more space as well. And then I do a knife inspection literally in the station where you would normally cut. And that's the customer and myself. And that's where I have the tray, cafeteria tray with the inventory list being filled out. So for me, I think it's more about what are we doing with our interaction that generates CPO, not necessarily the room itself. The what's next poster is cool, but to be honest, I'm not doing that, but it is a good idea. It doesn't hurt to have that, especially if people are waiting. I think what's more relevant is the people helping out with the event. They know what their role is. Their role is not to sell, their role is to provide good service. Really, their role is to build you up in the service that the factory does. That's, in my opinion, the more important thing.
I love it. Well, guys, does anyone else have a question for Adam before we kind of transition on? I've got about 8 more I could ask, but I don't want to monopolize it. Real quick, let's hit Foss. He's got a question first. Okay. He said he loves your idea about making sure you're in a high-end venue so that it can help attract and draw the right type of customers, be appealing to your past customers, but also new people. He was curious if you have a specific number or even a ballpark for how much you've sold to like walk-ins or, kind of new customers in this sales channel.
Yeah. So currently half of my business is people that aren't customers of mine or walk-in combination. So it's either someone I've been referred to, someone that saw their friend's Facebook post, and then they referred them, walk-ins at the hotel, people that are directly scheduled at the event, at a service, a regular event. So it's all those factors. So half of my business is new customers I don't work with, whether they have Cutco or not. So generally, I'm averaging about 5,000 an event with 3 to 6 people less per event, and so half of that is the new customer acquisition, whether they have Cutco or not.
Damn. Money. Roger, did you have a question?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up? So my question for you is like how far of a mile radius do you do for your marketing whenever you do the zip code?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people overmarket. So think about how many times your customer could potentially get an email about all the neighboring town service events. I don't think it's smart to go any more than 10-mile radius, depending on what your numbers are. And if you think about it, in Vast Action, it tells you how many times that customer has been marketed to different customers. So like there's a CSP I'm mentoring in Chicago that literally is marketed to the same customer 6 times since October. That's way too much. They're not going to see they're not going to open your email ever again. So I think up to 10-mile radius at most what you want to do. And then you just want to focus on working with, if they're not getting a text or email, then those people need to get communicated somehow. So either you delegate the phone calls, or they get connected to on Facebook, or there's got to be other ways to work with those people. I think 2 to 3 times a year at most should a customer get marketed to at a service event. So zipcoderadius.com will tell you all the zip codes in a 10-mile radius, and you can visually see on a map what towns you're over marketing to based on the other events you schedule, and you can kind of go from there.
Can I ask a segue question, Adam?
Yeah, what's up?
So after you do you're doing the inventory list, you obviously get looking at their knives. And I don't know if you're delegating the sharpening the knives to somebody else, or if you're sharpening themselves, because I know Curtis does it all himself, and he basically runs it like a normal service call. But what is like your intro? Are you just showing them everything like Jason and like Scott, the Arizona people usually do it? Or are you going like, hey, there's this program, this program, this program, this program. Which one do you want to focus on?
Yeah, great question. So I used to do it the way Jason and Luke did it. And so that works great. What I've started to do is change it in a sense that customers, I want to be different than the last time they saw me. And so I'll literally do my approach. I actually have it scripted out. So basically, it's like, hey, listen, so glad you're here. By the way, this is a newer program. I'm so grateful that you're able to take advantage of it. What we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at what you have. So we're going to inspect everything you have, and we're going to take inventory of everything you have. This is required by Cutco. We want to make sure that we have everything in your file updated. Obviously, Cutco's multi-generational, right? And I'm creating a reaction because I want to know if they know that. Because if they don't, then they're missing the boat on Cutco. Then I need to rebuild value in a lot of things. So a lot of what I'm doing is creating reactions, but also identifying what type of customer am I. Did they get everything as a gift? Are they a new customer because they got everything as a gift? We want to know like what their story is, how many times they bought Cutco, all that. And so then we go through the inventory list, and I'm like, hey, by the way, you have the paring knives, go ahead and check that off. That's in the basic set. Oh, you have the French chef. That's in the additional knife section. Oh, and you have the cleaver. Go ahead and put an X. That's in the complete set. By the way, you're only 9 away from our complete set, which is one of everything we make. And so while I'm doing the inventory list, I'm reading the customer. I want to know what they know and what they don't know. And so that's going to help me transition into the program spiel. And so then when I go to the 4 programs, it's really straightforward. And so then I'm like, okay, so there's a couple new concepts Cutco's doing. I just want you to know while you're here because you'll actually be one of the first customers to see them live in the entire country. Now, I'm actually required by Cutco, so I always put it on Cutco, that what comes in these new programs, so that way you're aware of how Cutco is going to run in the future. Now, just so you know, normally you get a discount for having Cutco, and most people are like, I don't know how or why I got a discount. I just got a discount. So from now on, Cutco will be making it so that you have to earn your discounts rather than us giving you discounts. And the great thing about that is the way it works is that anytime you buy Cutco, you want to put it under one of our 4 programs. That way you can earn multiple discounts. Obviously save you more money. And so the first program is our set upgrade. And I'm showing the Set for Life brochure in front of me. This is our new program. This is the smartest buy we have. And so I go through all 4 programs, and I'll stop if they interrupt me. If they don't interrupt me, then my question is, hey, which of the 4 programs sparked your interest? Which of the 4 programs did you want to learn how the multiple discounts work on? And then I'll go from there. But if they interrupt me, whoa, you guys make cookware, then I'll go into it a little bit more. But basically, it's like you're fishing. You're trying to see which bait is actually catching, which one are they biting. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep intriguing them until I get something that they're excited about. Even if it's a pizza cutter, I'm like, hey, that's part of our accessories program. Let me show you how the discounts work. And so that type of approach, if that makes sense.
Awesome, man. Well,
I have a question.
Adam, do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Yay. By the way, this is how much I love this team, and I love you, Adam. I'm sitting here at Fort Bliss, El Paso, and since I've been on this call, Jonathan Schmitz has sold an ultimate upgrade, and he just got another credit card, and I have no idea what it's for. It's driving me crazy. He's selling all the knives, man. But that's awesome. So question. The question is, I had an idea the other day. I had a realtor reach out to me about the service events because I've talked to a couple of people that are realtor reps that aren't getting good traffic to their events. And I'm like, why aren't you telling your realtor customers to come to your events? Like 70% of my sales at these events have been to my realtors buying personal upgrades and cookware and flatware chests and sets for their kids and more reorders, right? So anybody that has realtor or business gift clients, they should be marketing to. So my question is this. Do you think it's a bad idea? I've got 3 realtor customers in particular that want me to bring a service event to their team meeting room at their real estate office. And basically, it's a way for me to provide service to all of the realtors that have bought gifts, and they invite it. I send them the text link, and then instead of me necessarily texting it to everybody, my realtors text it to everybody, and all of their customers bring their cut code directly to me. I provide the snacks, I provide the waters, but I sell upgrades all day long. I wanted to know if you've had any experience with that. Do you think it's a great idea? Is it a bad idea? What works, what doesn't?
No experience other than watching Jenny Vega be a machine at service events on the limited ones that she does. You're exactly right. Realtors upgrade all the time because they just have limited Cutco and they love it. Plus you get reorders because you're exposed to them again. So you're providing service, and then it's like you can squash any concerns they have about previous orders right there in person. So you're going to capture some more of your reorder business simply by providing that service. I love the idea that you're providing service for their clients, that they're giving gifts. I would bribe them with free Cutco to market to their clients and say, hey, listen, this is the teamwork program that we designed for you. Make it special. That would be my tip to you. One of the things I've learned about Curtis is he makes his customers feel really special. So if you're like, hey, Cutco came out with a new program to service our realtor clients at the highest level possible. This is what we're doing, and I'm super excited to announce this with you. Instead of having your customers get knives sharpened by a college kid, now we actually have a program in place where your customers can come to me, the professional, and actually get the same service that you're getting, and maybe position it like that. I mean, there's verbiage that you can work on, Chelsea, but I think that's a super money idea at the realtor's office, because then you're going to see that you being in the office is going to generate business gift orders from the realtors that haven't ordered yet from you, but they know their peers are ordering. So,
and it's free.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay.
I actually think the future of the program should be in potentially in realtor offices for sure. I think that's a huge application for sure. And I would love to see you pioneer that program. And I'd be asking you how to do that. You know what I mean? So I definitely think run for it.
Awesome. Well, Adam, this has been amazing, man. My last super quick question, every speaker that we have for all of our meetings, we always ask the same question. We've asked Josh and Ray Reed, and we've asked Drew Frank and everyone under the sun. But I'm just curious, what is the one thing for you this year that you are really working on with your business, your professional life? What's kind of that big area of focus for your own growth? Whether it's something, again, personal growth related, professionally. Obviously, I know you're getting married. Congratulations, man. I know that's coming really soon. So maybe it ties to that. But yeah, man, what's your one thing this year for 2018 that you're working on or working towards?
That question I shared earlier is super money. What am I doing right now? Because I want to reward myself for doing right thing versus what I'm not doing. And then empowering myself with what could I be doing differently? So humbling yourself to a point where you're like, okay, I'm getting great results. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of things right, but what could I really be doing to take it to the next level? Or, hey, that didn't go well, but there was some things I did right there, but what could I do differently? It's a way bigger, it's a way to implement things as a progress focus versus perfection. I think being progress motivated is way more important than being perfectionist. And so for me as a builder, personality and a merchant, second core value, I find a lot of focus is simplifying my business. So the more I can hone in on what is I could do differently in my personal life and my business life, it empowers me to take action. Because if I'm clear with what I'm doing, it's going to happen. If I'm all over the place and I got 5 different priorities, it doesn't work out, as we all know. So asking that question constantly will help you with your interactions with customers, your relationships in and out of the business, and just overall your sense of fulfillment in life. So great question.
Money, dude. Money. Well, Adam, it is such a treat. It's been long overdue to have you pulled into our little merry band of misfits here. And I love your spirit of curiosity. I love the humility that you have just for figuring out what works and embracing it and rolling with it. And man, there's just clearly no ego in it. But congratulations for just the growth you've had. You've put yourself on such a national pedestal with the work you're doing in the service program. So thank you so much for your willingness to share. And man, if there's any way that we can be of value to you and the team out there, please let us know. We're all about reciprocity. So anything that we could do to open ourselves up to you, whether it's through our team members individually or what we do on the bigger level, please let us know. But thank you most of all for your time, your willingness to share.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. You guys have a good one, okay? Take care.
Thank you, Adam. We'll give you everyone's muted. So. I love it when I know people you're in Starbucks or at a base or in your house and I see people clapping and they're muted and I'm like, well, you just really made an appearance there.